Say it again?
Is there a point where that's not accurate? Or
You
is
know,
that
we're
pretty
gonna get to a point in the semester where I'm gonna show you what errors were allowed, and maybe let's save it for that time, okay?
I started reading
But-
chapter 2 in the book. And it was,
Say it again?
I started reading chapter 2 in the book.
Oh, which was chapter 2? I can't,
It's
I don't have
like
it memorized.
all the
What,
like,
tape
errors.
measures?
No, it's
Oh,
like
error,
yeah, calculating error and all this stuff.
Error in,
Yeah.
what, errors in what?
Yeah, it's pretty.
I reread some of this and was glad that it wasn't on this section.
Yeah, accidental, yeah.
Like, yeah,
Okay.
there's like accepted errors for.
So just remember that I imagine this is the case with most instructors. You know, you have your textbook and they're using the textbook and they're using, maybe they have a packet or maybe they don't, but what they teach is really what they're deeming to be the most important. I believe I mentioned to you the first class last week that I'm really teaching from this packet I put together, and this is supplemental information, right? So there might be homework questions where I didn't cover it, it's in here, I want you to self-learn at some time. But things that are like really detail oriented that I'm not covering in class, it's just outside the scope of the class. So you need to be comfortable using your calculator and converting to degrees, minutes, seconds, because that's always what we're going to use. There are times that your instrument that you're using could only read to maybe the 10 degrees, so your instrument may only read to, let's say, 50 seconds, because it's a 10-second instrument. It's a 10-second transit or a 10-second theodolite, meaning it could only read to 10. It can't read that extra 5, so that might be a situation where this is more exact than my instrument actually can read. Okay, so be comfortable with degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay, let's go on now. So there are a few different methods of surveying. So one is what's referred to as field surveying. You're on the ground doing all your surveying, all the field surveying, right? And on the ground, you could either use traditional surveying equipment or you could use GPS equipment. And GPS equipment is shooting off the satellites. The other option is not to do ground, but do aerial. So let's say I wanted to survey this forest, and it has all this tree coverage. Photos aren't going to work well, right? Because that's all I'm going to see is the tops of the trees. I'm not going to see the land, right? So I'm going to have to do a ground survey in that situation. But let's say there's a situation where it's not tree coverage, and it's a huge amount of area, and aerial photographs, you could get great data, really exact data from aerial photographs. So rather than sending a crew out there that will be much more expensive because you're surveying such a big area, you might hire an aerial photographer. And what happens in aerial photography, and there's a bunch of aerial photographs here. So the flight pattern that they choose, so first the airplane's going this way, then they take a shot, a photo, they take another shot, notice how they're all overlaying? Because it's important when you do aerial photographs, that when you're working with aerial photographs, you have to work with two that are next to each other. You might not, I don't know if you could see it from here, you might be able to see a lot of gray, and then do you see a squiggly white line?
Yes.
Okay,